Thank you for joining us for our song and story today. We hope you're having a good day. It's been a nice hot one here, but we've had fun, and we have some songs and stories to share with you this morning. So we have a fireman song that's kind of an acted out story. Nathaniel was a fireman, fireman, fireman. Nathaniel was a fireman, fireman. He saved a poor teddy bear, teddy bear, teddy bear. He saved a poor teddy bear, teddy bear. His brother took the fire calls, fire calls, fire calls. His brother took the fire calls, fire calls. Nathaniel got the fire out, fire out, fire out. Nathaniel got the fire out, fire out.
Now we got the fire out.
We got the fire out. You did a good job. Can you get your hat back on?
Yeah. And now we got to go back to the station.
Okay, let's go back to the station. Get in your fire truck. Let's go back to the station.
Put the fire back.
Andrew, do you have a fire truck? Do you have a fire truck, Andrew? Hey, buddy. Hey. Andrew was a fireman, fireman, fireman. Oh, Andrew was a fireman, fireman. Nathaniel drove the fire truck, fire truck, fire truck. Nathaniel drove the fire truck, fire truck. As you can see, we've been having lots of fun thinking about being firemen, thinking about helping people. Okay. Oh, Andrew was a fireman, fireman, fireman. Oh, Andrew was a fireman, fireman. The brothers drove the fire truck, fire truck, fire truck. The brothers drove the fire truck, fire truck. So our book today is called The Fire Cat. It's by Esther Averill. What do you think, Nathaniel? It'll be fun to learn about a fire cat?
Yeah.
Yeah? Let's see what it says. Pickles. Once upon a time there was a yellow cat with black spots in his fur. His name was Pickles. This is a pretend book that teaches an important lesson. Pickles was a young cat. His paws were big, and he wished he could do big things with them. But where could Pickles find anything big to do? Pickles lived in a barrel. A barrel was all that he had for a home. Pickles' barrel was in an old yard where there was nothing big to do. What did Pickles do? He ran after other cats, little cats. He chased every little cat that came into the yard. He chased the little cats out of the yard. This was a bad thing, but it was all that Pickles could find to do. But that wasn't nice, was it, Nathaniel? No. You don't want to chase your friends out of where you're playing. Next to Pickles' yard was a house. In the house lived many cats who called out to Pickles, "You are not acting nice. You cannot be our friend." But Pickles did have a friend in the house. His friend was Mrs. Goodkind. Every day, Mrs. Goodkind came into the yard and gave Pickles something to eat. One day, Mrs. Goodkind said, "Pickles, you are not a bad cat. You're not a good cat. You're good and bad and good. You're a mixed-up cat, and what you need is a good home. Then you will be good." Mrs. Goodkind picked up the mixed-up cat. She took him into her home to live with her. In Mrs. Goodkind's home, there was a pretty chair for Pickles to sit on. There were toys for him to play with. But Pickles did not want to sit in a pretty chair. He did not want to play with toys. So he ran back to his barrel in the yard, and he began to chase little cats again. Mrs. Goodkind said to Pickles, "Things cannot go on like this. Something will happen." The next day, Pickles chased a little cat up a tree. He climbed after her. Pickles sat in the tree near the little cat. He would not let her climb down. That wasn't very nice. After a time, the wind began to blow. It blew and blew and blew. And the rain came down hard. It came down harder and harder. At last, Pickles let the little cat climb down and go home. Pickles wanted to climb down, too. He wanted to get back to his barrel. But he could not climb down. Sometimes this happens to a cat. Mrs. Goodkind ran to the tree. "Pickles," she called, "please try to run down." But Pickles could not run down. What do you think, Doodlebug? Mrs. Goodkind ran to her house. Pickles could see her by the window. She was talking on the telephone. Then she called out to Pickles, "The firemen are coming!" A fire truck came up the street and stopped at Pickles' yard. 3 firemen jumped out of the truck. Mrs. Goodkind came out of her house. She ran to the firemen and pointed to Pickles. The firemen put a ladder up against the tree. One of the firemen began to climb up the ladder. The fireman climbed to the top of the ladder. "Come, cat," he said to Pickles, "let me help you." The fireman picked up Pickles and tucked him into his coat. Then he took Pickles down the ladder, down to Mrs. Goodkind. "Mrs. Goodkind," said the fireman, "is this your cat?" "No, Joe," said Mrs. Goodkind. "Pickles has no home, and he does not want to live with me." "Why?" asked Joe. "My home is too little for Pickles. Pickles is a cat who wishes to do big things, and someday he will do them. Look at his paws." Pickles put out a paw for Joe to see. "My goodness, Pickles," said Joe, "what big paws you have." Pickles looked at Joe and said the one word he could say. "What's the one word that kitty cats say? What did they say, Nathaniel?" "That's right." Joe could see that Pickles wanted something very much. Joe gave Pickles a pat. "Pickles, I will take you to our firehouse. Maybe our chief will let you stay." Chapter 2, The Fire Cat. Joe took Pickles to the chief, who was sitting at his desk. "Oh," said the chief, "I know this young cat. He's the one who chases little cats." "How do you know?" asked Joe. The chief said, "A chief knows many things." Just then the phone began to ring. "Hello?" "Oh, hello, Mrs. Goodkind. Yes, Pickles is here. He came with Joe." "What did you say? You think Pickles would like to live in our firehouse?" "Well, we'll see." "Thank you, Mrs. Goodkind. Goodbye." The chief looked at Pickles and said, "Mrs. Goodkind says you're not a bad cat, and Joe likes you. I will let you live here if you learn to be a good firehouse cat." Pickles walked quietly up the stairs after Joe. Joe and Pickles went into a room where the firemen lived. The men were pleased to have a cat. They wanted to play with Pickles, but suddenly the fire bell rang. All the firemen ran to the pole and down they went. The pole was a fast way to get to their trucks. Pickles could hear the trucks start up and rush off to the fire. Pickles said to himself, "I must learn to do what the firemen do. I must learn to slide down the pole." He jumped and put his paws around the pole. Down he fell with a bump. Poor Pickles. What do you think, Nathaniel?
He needs to be a good fireman.
You think he could be a good fire cat? "Bumps or no bumps," Pickles said to himself, "I must try again." Up the stairs he ran, down the pole he came and bumped. He tried again and bumped. But by the time the firemen came back from the fire, Pickles could slide down the pole. "What a wonderful cat you are," said the fireman. The chief did not say anything. Pickles said to himself, "I must keep on learning everything I can." So he learned to jump up on one of the big trucks, and he learned to sit straight on the seat while the truck raced to a fire. "What a wonderful cat you are," said the fireman. The chief did not say anything. Pickles said to himself, "Now I must learn to help the firemen with their work." The next day he jumped down from the truck. He ran to a big hose, put his paw around it, and tried to help a fireman shoot the water at the flames. "What a wonderful cat you are," said the fireman. But the chief did not say anything. The next day the chief called all the firemen to his desk. Then he called for Pickles. Pickles did not know what was going to happen. He thought to himself, "Maybe the chief does not like the way I work. Maybe he wants to send me back to my old yard." Pickles went to the chief. At the chief's desk stood all the firemen and Mrs. Goodkind. The chief said to Pickles, "I have asked Mrs. Goodkind to come because she is your first friend. Pickles, jump up on my desk. I have something to say to you." Pickles jumped up on the desk and looked at the chief. Out of the desk the chief took a little fire hat. Maybe kind of like your fire hat, Nathaniel. What do you think? Maybe like that one?
Yeah.
Yeah? "Pickles," said the chief, "I've watched you at your work. You have worked hard. The time has come for you to know that you are now our fire cat." And with these words, the chief put the little hat on Pickles' head. The old tree. Pickles made friends with all the firemen, but he did not make friends with any cats. When cats came to the firehouse to look at the trucks, Pickles chased them away. The chief called Pickles to him and said, "A fire cat must be kind to everyone. You must be good to other cats." Little by little, Pickles learned to be good to the cats he met. He made friends with them, too. Then all the cats loved to come to the firehouse. On rainy days, most cats stayed at home, and Pickles sat upstairs with the firemen. One rainy day, he thought to himself, "How bad I was when I chased other cats. Once I chased a little cat up a tree. Oh me, oh my, why did I do that?" Suddenly, Pickles heard the chief call out, "Cat! In a tree! Fireman Joe and 2 other men slid down the pole. Pickles slid down after them. He heard the chief say, "The tree is the old yard next to Miss Goodkind's house." Oh, thought Pickles, that's the yard where I lived, and that's the tree. Pickles jumped up on the truck with the 3 firemen. Away they rode, and there in the wind and the rain stood Mrs. Goodkind, pointing to a very little cat. The fireman put a ladder against the tree. The ladder scared the little cat, and she ran to a high branch where even the firemen could not go. "I don't know what to do," said Joe. But Pickles knew. Pickles began to climb the ladder. Up, up, up. It was hard work, but at last Pickles came to the top. Then he climbed up to the tree until he came to the little cat. "Come, cat," he said to her, "let me help you." But really all that Pickles could say would be, "Meow," because cats can't talk, can they?
No.
This is a pretend book. He picked her up and gently took her down to Mrs. Goodkind. Now cats can pick up other cats. They hold them by the back of their neck. That's how mommy cats carry baby cats. Mrs. Goodkind thanked Pickles. Then she said to him, "I always knew that someday you would do big things. Today you have done something very big." Pickles waved a paw at her as if to say, "Mrs. Goodkind, this is only the beginning." And he rode home to the firehouse, a proud and happy cat. The Fire Cat. Now that was a pretend book, but it teaches a very important lesson, that it is very good for us to be kind to other people. When we're kind to other people, then we can find what God wants us to do with our life. He wants us to always be sweet and gentle and kind. Right, Nathaniel? Yeah. Thank you for joining us for our song and story. Nathaniel's at a fire putting it out with his leaf blower. But we can stop for just a minute and sing. Is that okay? Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Come back again, we'll see you soon. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Bye, guys. See you tomorrow.